Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the Bootcamp Blueprint, the place where personal trainers go to grow their bootcamp. Now, I'm super excited because we have a very special guest this week. This person is one of the finalists from the New Zealand Small Group Trainer of the Year Awards. Her bootcamp actually won Program of the Year at the New Zealand Exercise Awards. She's currently running a bootcamp which has over 110 people registered, and total amount of clients is over 400. So I'm very excited to introduce one of the best bootcamp instructors in the world. It's Ms. Karen Helston from Bootcamp with Kaz. Karen, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you.
That's good. Hey, just wanted to start off and thank you very much for your time, Karen. With over 400 clients, you must be super busy. So thank you for taking this time. I like to start all these podcasts off with a quote or mantra that inspires you or fires you up. Have you got one for us?
Yes, definitely. It is, if you're moving, you are improving.
Love it. It's a short one, but so effective, isn't it? It's not like you have to go out and conquer the world on your first day. As long as you're doing something, you're moving, you're improving. So I love that. Now, hey, Karen, what I'd like to talk about today, all my audience is bootcamp instructors, and I'm pretty sure 99% of them would love to have 110 clients registered in their bootcamp. So I'd love it if we could give them some tips. I think the easiest way to do it is if you share your story and how you did it, and then along the way we can pick up little tips and that sort of thing there. So I guess my first question to you, Karen, how did you get started in the bootcamp game?
Okay, so for me, it all started, I joined the New Zealand Army quite a few years ago, over 20 years ago. And while I was in the Army, I did the physical training instructor course and became the first female physical trainer in the New Zealand Army.
Ever?
And so, helping, ever. And then, in the New Zealand Army physical training corps. Yeah. And so I guess because I had, that learning base, the skills, once I released from the Army, I had, I guess, to go back a step, as I ended up having 4 kids. And so I kind of was in a position where I had to leave the NZ Army because I needed to look after my kids. And then because I'd left the Army, and I guess the chaos of raising those 4 young kids, it led me down a real destructive path of unhealthy eating habits and, pretty sedentary behaviour. And it got so bad that I'd actually gained 30 kgs.
No.
So I'd gone from this real healthy, fit, physical trainer in the Army that was fitter and stronger than 75% of the males in the Army, to this person with 4 kids that was 30 kgs overweight and couldn't even run our section without feeling like I was gonna vomit. So I guess the light bulb moment for me was when my older son asked me to play hockey with him on our back section, and I just couldn't believe how unfit I was. And so that night I decided, oh my gosh, I need to get healthy and fit. I've lost the person I once was. And so I just thought about how would I train my soldiers? Back when I was in the Army, when I was healthy and fit, what kind of program would I prescribe for one of those female soldiers that had had a baby and needed to get fit, fit enough to fight for her country? So I designed that program thinking of someone, a female in the Army in a similar position. And then the next day, started working on my own program. And to be honest, the weight just melted off. And because I had such a strong training age, or a training history, my fitness increased pretty quickly. And so I would say within 6 weeks, I had pretty much just lost so much weight and had got so much fitter and stronger And what had happened is all the mothers that had seen me 6 weeks prior, 30 kilos heavier, were like, oh my God, what have you done? And I just said, oh, I just ran myself a program and did it and stuck to it. And then all the mothers that I was kind of hanging out with, because we had kids around the same age, they asked me to run the program for them. And I was like, pretty reluctant, but I was like, oh no, let's give it a go. So it just kind of got the name bootcamp, being an ex-military soldier. So I ran a boot camp for 17 mothers that were in the same position as I once were. They'd gained heaps of weight due to the chaos of raising a family. And all 17 of them received, or should I say achieved, the same results I did. And then so suddenly all those 17 mothers went and told friends. So then it doubled. So then it became, the next program was a boot camp of 34 people. Once again, they got the same results. So they went and told other people. And then it kind of kept doubling from there. So then it got to a stage where it was getting really big, and I was like, okay, I need to make a business of this. So obviously turned it into a business, and that's kind of where I am today.
Wow, there's so much bits of gold in there. So I want to break some of this down for our listeners. So let's start with a couple things that I think Karen's done really well here. Is number one, she's targeted an ideal client that ideally used to be you. And I feel that's such a powerful advantage as a personal trainer, because it's hard to help every single person. Everyone's got different goals. Everyone's got different struggles. But what you've done really well there, Karen, is you're like, hey, my target audience is essentially me from a year ago. This is where I was a year ago. Do this program here, and that's what's going to happen. So that's my advice if you're listening here. If you want to pick your ideal client, it helps a lot if that ideal client is who you were a few years ago, because you know exactly how to help that person there. Another thing that Karen's done really well is gotten her clients results, because most of your growth has been you did the transformation yourself. So people were like, hey, how'd you do it? I want to train with you. And then those people got their transformation. So then they told their friends, and it's like a skyrocket from there. So that's another thing there. If you want to grow your referrals, get your clients awesome results. And that's going to be my next question to you there, Karen. Now, I've seen you train, and I know your sessions are amazing. But for our listeners out there, how do you get your clients to get these amazing results? Obviously, your sessions are amazing, but how do you get them to commit and come and work hard? Because that's half the struggle, right? We can give our clients the best program in the world, but whether they actually come to training is another thing. So have you got any advice to our listeners, or any particular things you do to make sure that people actually come down to training and that they actually push themselves?
Yeah, so what I do is I give them so much accountability. So when they first start on a program, I test them, fitness test, body composition test, and they do it in a group environment. So they all see each other's results. They all see the fitness level that everyone has started at. And then I also encourage them to carpool. So, the reality is sometimes people are a little bit unmotivated and can't be bothered. But whereas if they've already committed because someone's coming to pick them up, then, when those days when they're not feeling as motivated, they're going to come anyway because they've got their ride organised. I won't say I harass them, but I hassle them all the time. So for example, if I take a session and the numbers are low, I sit there and say to the people that have come, you're doing really amazing and you are getting amazing results. The ones that haven't come have missed out on an opportunity to improve. And they go back and, because they kind of, I guess I've built a community, so they know each other, they talk with each other, and they'll go back and tell others it was an amazing session. Oh, it's a shame you missed out. I also post pictures on the Facebook page. So I've got that closed Facebook page, and I post pictures of the people that come to the sessions. And I'm like, well done for coming to these sessions. You're one step closer to achieving your goals. If you didn't turn up, then you're one step further back from the ones that, so I do get on their case quite a bit, and that's, I guess that's why they pay me, because they know I keep them very highly accountable. So
Love it. Once
yeah,
again,
it works.
so many bits of gold there. I'll summarize it for the listeners as well. So a few key points there. It basically comes down to accountability. That's half of why our clients come to boot camp and pay us, right? Like really half of them, especially with all the resources these days, they could jump on YouTube and get a million free workouts, right? So why are they going to pay a trainer? Because half of it is the accountability. So if you're listening to this as a trainer, there's a million different ways you can do it, but just come up with ideas. Okay, cool. What can I do to keep my clients accountable? Some of the things that Karen's got, that carpool, I love it because I'm that person exactly, right? If I'm 50-50 thinking of going something, like, all right, I'm 50-50, but if someone's picking me up, I may as well go. They're picking me up. I can't let them down. My friends are there. So I love that idea there. And where do we go from there? Okay, and just the community in general. So I believe you've got, what, 400-500 people in your closed Facebook group, Karen?
Yes, that's correct.
And that's the other thing there. So I think it's those two things, I think, are the secret to boot camp is accountability and community. All right. If you can hit those two things there, that's what's going to keep your clients coming back. It's the same thing with same thing to that YouTube example, right? Somebody could go and do a workout on YouTube on their own, but it can get pretty boring, right? If they've got 15, 20, 30, 40, 100 of their friends in your circumstance, it's almost like a big party, right? It's almost like, I used to play sport growing up, right? I used to love going to footy training, not so much for the training or just to see my mates. So if you can emulate that there and do it in an exercise environment, it's really, really helpful. And I also love the way Karen deals with low numbers, because I see a lot of this in different Facebook groups speaking to trainers, where if they get a session with low numbers, they're almost in a bad mood. And they're like, oh, only 2 people are here or only 5 people are here. This is so disappointing. I'm so upset, blah, 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 blah. The down point with that is it's not fair for the people that are coming. All right. And they're probably going to be less likely to come if you've just kicked up a stink and given them a bad session. But if you can give those people an amazing session, they're going to be more likely to come back. Man, this is so good. I'm getting a smaller thing. This is so good. Hey, you should come along to this Tuesday session. It's amazing. Karen's really, really good. And then if you can G that up on Facebook, those numbers are going to boom. So I love all those strategies there. Now, one thing I love about you, Karen, is your passion for boot camp. I could see it when you were running that session at the New Zealand Awards there. So I've got to ask, what is it that you like most about boot camp?
Probably the biggest thing I love about boot camp is the team cohesion. And I mean, obviously the fitness, but the fact that people are making a positive health and fitness difference in their life, but in that whole team cohesion environment. I absolutely love it. I'm very passionate about boot camp.
I can tell. And yeah, I'll agree with that as well. So like, this is why I like boot camp. Say with, so much of who you are is who you hang around with, right? And let's say you're an unhealthy person and you're living in an unhealthy environment. You could hire a personal trainer and yeah, they could help you. But if all you're doing is seeing that person for an hour a week and nothing else changes, it's an uphill battle, right? But if you do a boot camp, all of a sudden you've now got a whole group of a new social circle. And all of a sudden, hey, you've got new friends you can hang out with and do healthy stuff with, go for walks or go for healthy breakfast or go out pole dancing or whatever it is you want to do. So that's the advantage of boot camp there with the team environment. So I love that. Now, I want to delve a little bit deeper into you now, Karen. Now, especially in Australia, but New Zealand as well, the fitness industry is pretty saturated, right? There's a heap of gyms, there's a heap of trainers, there's a heap of boot camps.
Yeah.
What separates you from the others? How have you managed to be so successful? What are you doing that, and there's probably numerous things, right? But if you could just knock off maybe 1, maybe 2 things that you believe you do that separates you from the rest of the competition.
I would probably say, I'm talking for New Zealand now, so I'm not sure how it works over in Australia. But for me, as you said, the fitness industry is really saturated. But in New Zealand, or the area that I live in, it's really saturated with commercial equipment, big machines, gyms. And to be honest, I'm going to say personal trainers.
Yep.
Whereas where I live, there's no one that, you know, runs a boot camp. I run my boot camp at my home in Canterbury, and it's on a farm. So people turn up and they come up our driveway and they see cows on the left, and on the right they see horses. And while they're exercising, they'll see sheep, you know, sheep beside the field that they're exercising in. And I don't have any big machines. I just have, you know, the normal. Admittedly, I'm quite lucky in the fact that I've got this big, massive implement shed. So that's where I run my boot camps in the winter. But I don't have any machines at all. It's, you know, skipping ropes, ladders, medicine balls, the odd Swiss ball, and I guess also my sessions are really, really structured. Not that I'm saying that other fitness trainers aren't, but, you know, they always start on time, they always finish on time. No session is ever plucked. I run 10-week programs, and every session is organised prior to that boot camp starting. I might change bits and pieces depending on, like, if I see a trend where, say, for example, upper body strength isn't good, so I might change the sessions around to focus more on upper body strength, or in the case if it's, you know, weak core, or that particular boot camp doesn't have a strong cardio base, then I might vary the training program, but I stick to the plan. And my clients know that. They know that every time they turn up, we do a session, and there's a purpose for that session. It's a reason. It's not a class that is just plucked, or a class that is repeated again and again.
Love it. And I'll summarize that for the listeners, because same thing in Australia, right? There's a million gyms and big commercial gyms and one-on-one personal trainers. And hey, nothing wrong with that. But if you're going to compete on that, it's an uphill battle. Like if you're a personal trainer and you're like, all right, the way I'm going to compete is to open up the fanciest gym with the fanciest equipment. Ooh, it's a tough uphill battle, right? What I feel that you've done, Karen, is you're more using yourself. So you're like, all right, hey, I don't have these big fancy machines and equipment and that sort of thing, but what I've got is myself and my knowledge. So I'm going to implement that there. And the advantage to that is I feel it makes you a better trainer, because if you had all this equipment, you could get a bit lazy, right? Oh yeah, just jump on the treadmill for a minute. Okay, yeah, let's just do a circuit. There's, 10 bits of equipment here. Everyone grab an equipment and do it for a minute and then move on to the next one. And it's a little bit boring, right? But if you don't have access to that sort of stuff, you got to get creative. And that's the fun part of it. So I love that there. My next question for you, Karen, what would your advice be to someone starting off? So let's say someone's like, you know what, I've been working in the gym for a while in a one-on-one situation. It's time for me to go out on my own now and start up my own boot camp. What advice would you give them? What's the best way for someone starting off to set them up for success?
I would probably say obviously the normal stuff. Make sure you advertise. No one ever bought a secret. But I would probably say to be genuine. So be yourself, and also be understanding and quite, like, for me personally, when I started off, it was a real shock for me, because I'd gone from being in the army and training predominantly males. So I'm going to be honest, when I started running boot camps, I just wanted to train the men because I understood men. I find that men are so black and white. You tell them what to do, they do it, and they get amazing results. Whereas I found with females, you couldn't just say, here's the eating plan. This is, you need to do this many sessions a week. You need to do this and you need to do that, because quite often females will ask you why, and there's usually quite often emotional involvement there. So I find that if you are starting alone, or you've gone from one-on-one and then you're deciding to be a boot camp instructor, you have to be real flexible and be willing to change for your clients. And that was probably the biggest thing for me. If I had of just been that narrow-minded, NZ Army physical trainer, and sat there and thought, okay, I only want to train males, then I would have never succeeded, because because of the position I'd got myself in, that rut, and being the mother of 4 kids, my ideal client base, or the clients that I was going to attract at that time, was females that were in a similar position to me. So yeah, I guess it's just adapting to your clients, and being flexible and being real. Like, clients are not idiots. So if you're a lazy person at home, and you sit there and go to just eat crap and that kind of stuff, then you can sit there and pretend to your clients that you're real health and fitness focused, but at the end of the day, they know the truth. So you just kind of have to be genuine, and kind of got to live what you're selling. So I guess in the army, there's this saying that you talk the talk, but you walk the walk as well. So I mean, particularly where I live, it's a small community. It's a small rural community, and so like, I quite often see my clients when I go in shopping, or when I go to the kids' sports and that. So they're not gonna, every now and again they might see me eating a hot dog, but the majority of the time they'll see me eating healthy. And at kids' sports I get involved, and all that kind of stuff is quite important, I think, to setting yourself up for as a boot camp instructor that is genuine and real, I guess.
I love both those points, especially the genuine and real, because it's personal, right? There's a personal connection with that client there, and if you try and fake it, it's like being fake to your friends, right? No one likes a fake connection with your friends. The more real you are, the better. And also the walking the walk side of things, like, no one's going to respect you if you say something that you would never do. You just won't respect it. You're not going to listen to that person. So there's got to be some form of, and they work hand in hand, right? It's up to you how inspirational you want to be, but whatever you do, you make sure that you're genuine and you don't lie about it. So I love both of those points there. Now, last question about your boot camp there, Karen, then we'll just get to some finalizing ones. What's the best marketing strategy you've ever used?
Well, because that's kind of a hard question for me, because I guess the reason why my boot camp sessions have, or my boot camp programs have taken off, is it's all been because of word of mouth. So I guess for me was actually living, like, pretty much the foundation of my whole boot camp was the fact that I'd hit rock bottom myself. So my marketing that I use, and probably does appeal to everyone, is everyone knows that at one point in my life I was really unfit, I was really unhealthy, and I was really overweight. And because of that, it makes me a very understanding and realistic trainer. So I guess that would be my marketing strategy. So yeah, I mean, now that I've kind of changed to more online programs, we do videos up, and it's all marketed around the fact that once upon a time I was unhealthy and I was unfit, and I'd gained 30 kilos, and yeah, it seems to work. Yep.
Yeah,
Definitely.
100%.
I was going to say another marketing strategy that I do use is I write columns, so health and fitness columns.
Wow.
So so I do health and fitness columns for our local paper. So I guess that probably draws in business, or it kind of builds a rapport and trust with the community. And also I do monthly full page articles into the New Zealand Horse and Pony magazine, based on rider fitness. And and I've found that actually that would be, personally, that would be my best marketing, is building that rapport and getting people to know that you're knowledgeable and that they can trust you, and and having those regular columns.
Awesome. I want to go a little bit deeper on the transformation one though. So that's awesome that you've had that transformation. But what you also must have done well, Karen, is getting that message out to people, right? So you've had that transformation yourself. That's cool. How did you get that out to people?
So I got there. Well, locally, it was just purely because I had kids. I went to like little play groups or music groups. So it was just people could see, and then
Yeah.
obviously the word of mouth. Did you see Karen? Oh my God, she's like, I've just felt like we'd just seen her the other day, and she was huge, and now she's like slim and fit, and so yeah, so that has been, as I said, like hitting rock bottom for me has been the solid foundation in which I've built my boot camps. And to be honest, we film videos and that about telling that story, and we've put it on Facebook. It's on my website, and also like I've been in various magazines, so we've got the New Zealand Food Guide here, New Zealand Women's Weekly. I think you have
We got
Australian Women
Australian one.
Weekly.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, yeah. So we've got New Zealand's Women Weekly. Heaps and heaps of like columns or newspapers and that around New Zealand have told that story. To be honest, that's probably my biggest marketing.
Love it. Well,
Story.
I'll summarize that for the listeners. So two things there. Number one, the story. So the story marketing is so powerful. That's what engages people. Like nobody really cares. Like they look at you now, oh, you're fit. You've probably always been fit. It's easy for you. So if you've got a story that you can share, that's great. If you're listening to this and you've got a weight loss story or a fitness story yourself, that's perfect. If not, there's other ways around it as well, but you just need to find a story that's going to help. But also the other part to it is just getting it out there. So if you've been listening to Karen, what she does is just talk to people. She gets out there in the community. And I think a lot of people these days, they think, oh, I've got to have the fanciest website and I've got to have 1 million followers on Instagram and I've got to do all this stuff. And hey, that stuff's good. But what also works really well is just go out there and talk to your local community, right? They're the people that are going to be training with you anyway. So the more you can talk to them, the better. So I love your strategies there, Karen. Now, coming up to the end of the podcast here, Karen, you're obviously the go-to person in the Canterbury area for any woman that wants to lose a lot of weight, go through that transformation. Who are your sources of inspiration? Do you have any people you follow on social media, any books you read, any podcasts you listen to? Where's your source of inspiration or education?
So for me personally, so yes, so I've just joined your stuff, and I've been looking at your stuff, and that's quite inspiring. But up until then, when I was in the army, I had an instructor at the PT school where I trained. His name's Greg Miller, and he's got a business overseas. So he's a fitness trainer overseas, called Leading the Pack. And so he's kind of my mentor. If I've got any questions, or if I've got all these, I've always got ideas. I think we've all got ideas, and I want to implement them. I always pass them through him just to get a second opinion in that. And he's always great at keeping me on the straight and narrow, and he's very, very honest. But apart from that, and as I said, now your staff, I haven't really got anything else.
Oh, good. Hey, at least you got someone to mentor you there. Now, Karen, if anyone's listening to this and they're like, wow, this woman is amazing. I want to learn more about what she does. I want to follow her on social media. The best place is your Facebook page, the Bootcamp with Kaz?
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome.
I am on Instagram as well.
Awesome. Bootcamp with Kaz on Facebook and on Instagram?
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome. I recommend everyone listening to this jump on and follow Kaz and follow her journey. She is also starting to get into the online space as well and do some online training. So if you are interested in jumping on that, you can speak to Kaz about that. Karen, that's probably all we've got time for today. Is there anything I missed, or is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't?
No, I think you've pretty much covered it all. I think you've done well.
Awesome. Wait, thank you very much for your time there, Karen, and we'll be in touch.
Cool. Thank you, Jono.